Hi, this is Ivan Misner with IvanMisner.com, and I have my good friend here, Jack Canfield. Jack has an update to his book, The Success Principles. Loved the first edition of The Success Principles. I'm really looking forward to seeing this one. And hey, I understand there's an extra article in there about VCP.
Yeah, someone named Ivan Misner who's supposed to be an expert on networking.
Go figure, go figure.
I asked him to write a chapter for the book, and it's really fabulous. And it's really going to be helpful for people. What I love about this book, and I'm very excited about it, is we've revised it after 10 years of feedback about what worked about it. Some things that needed to be updated because we didn't have the internet as strong back then. So we have a whole section on success in the digital age, talking about crowdsourcing, crowdfunding, your brand, how do you not become a victim of the technological revolution so you use it instead of it using you. There's a chapter on leadership. There's 100 new pages in this book, but the most exciting part is all the stories that illustrate the principles. I won't say all, but most are now by people who read the first book and actually had their life radically transformed.
Now, you have a story in there about a man who interviewed you.
Yeah.
I got to hear this. My listeners will love to hear this.
So John Caleb, I'm in Manila teaching in the Philippines, and I do a book signing the night before, and this guy asked me if he could interview me after the book signing before my day-long workshop. I said, sure. Great interview. I said, what's your name, John Caleb? How long have you been doing this? He said, you're my first interview. I said, get out of here. Turns out he had a restaurant. It went bankrupt. He had to, I asked him, how much money do you have in your pocket? He said $3.20, something like that. I gave him $20 to buy dinner. I gave him a copy of my book, which I had to buy from the bookstore. And I said, read this, John. It'll change your life. He said, okay. So I come back to Manila 2.5 years later, and in walks John to this workshop, about 1,000 people. He's got a blue blazer with a big gold logo on it, and he's got all these guys behind him with the same logo on their polo shirts. I said, John, you're the guy that interviewed me. You look a little different. He said, I know. I'm now the #1 motivational speaker in Manila. I make over $1 million a year. I had a house, a condo, a boat, a car. He had a second car. He had a TV show, a radio show. His workshops were filling up with 800 to 1,000 people. I said, John, it's amazing. What do you attribute that to? He said, I read your book. I said, what do you mean? He said, your life was working, mine wasn't. I said, I'm going to do everything he says because his life is working.
Yeah.
If I waste a year, it'll be what happens. He said, I literally did every single thing. It's like reading the Bible and being a true Christian. I did every single thing. I did it. And I said, my life is magical. Now I'm teaching other people what you taught me. And I went, oh, whoa. And that there's like 50 stories like that in here of ordinary people that have applied these principles and now have extraordinary lives. So this is a book that anybody can relate to. It's a blueprint. If you read this book and you do what's in it, it's a blueprint for how to get from where you are to where you want to be, whether it's in business, relationships, health, making a difference in the world. I'm so excited about this book, and I'm so glad you gave me an opportunity to talk about it.
Oh, I'm happy to. And there's a lot. I've been telling my members of BNI, my followers on my blog for years, you got to do 6 things 1,000 times, not 1,000 things 6 times. What I love about your book is that you give some principles to follow and to follow consistently.
Yes.
And if you follow it consistently, you're going to have great success, as that gentleman did.
Yeah, it's not about overnight success. It's about doing the right thing consistently, persistently. I always say this is a system. A system always works if you always work the system.
That's right.
So this is a system for success.
Let me tell you something. One of the things that I love about Jack, and I know I've told you this before, is that when I'm at an event and Jack is there watching and observing, he is always in the front row taking notes. Here's somebody that could be outside, could be in the back, chit-chatting with people, but he is always in the front row. I'm almost embarrassed because I'm not always in the front row, but you're there all the time taking notes. Why is that important? Because he is a lifelong learner, and he applies the things that he learns. Pick up that book, you apply the things that you learn. I promise you, you are going to be more successful. You can find the book at thesuccessprinciplesbook.com. Thesuccessprinciplesbook.com. Jack, thank you very much. Appreciate you being on my blog.
My pleasure. Thank you, Ivan.
Thanks, everybody.